Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Kieran Gibbs is with us, Steve Nicol and Shaka Hislop. Have you told Stevie the silly bet that you've had with your son?
That I can beat him in a race.
Why?
I'm going to beat him in a race.
How old is he, Shaq?
He's 15. He'll be 16 next month.
No chance.
No chance.
Just give him.
Tell you what, I'll beat him.
Give him the money and then
Nah.
it'll look bad.
Got a couple of years. All right.
No.
Maybe next year. Not this year.
What's going to be
Not ready.
at stake, Shaq? And can we get some action on him, please? Beating you.
I can't remember what the bet was, you know.
What sort of length are we talking?
About 60 meters.
Does
That's
it
about.
matter?
Yes, it's true. What-
I
don't think it matters.
I need it long enough so that, because it takes a little while for the turbos to kick in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I need maybe about 60, 70 meters is about right.
You got no
Because
chance.
the turbos run out kind of quick, so I can't go any further.
Make sure somebody films this, Shaq.
Don't you worry.
Yeah?
Hey, get an ambulance ready.
No, I'm ready. No, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You want to bet?
Absolutely, I will.
Yeah?
I might drive up tomorrow.
Have you guys seen the kind of force and momentum that an incident of racism has seen in Vinicius Jr.'s case? And is this a welcome sign? Temas is apologising, red card rescinded, footballing world united, Shaq?
Yeah. Listen, first of all, to the first part of the question, I have not seen a reaction anything like it. I think that speaks to the issue and how big the issue has been in Spain, how it's been ignored. It speaks to how big a star Vinicius Jr. is and the job that he's done just in confronting the issue at every single opportunity that he has. This is a welcome sign in Spanish football, in world football. The challenge now for all of us who are determined to see an end to racism, not just in the game, but in society, is to maintain that energy, to keep everything that we've seen over the last couple of days and make it long-term as opposed to a weekend, an incident to end the season.
Lots of questions as well, with Kieran being on about Arsenal, Kieran. What do they do with their left-back situation? Do they sell Tierney? Is Zinchenko good enough defensively to start their next season?
I think the way that Mikel wants to play, I think that it may not suit Kieran as much as it does Zinchenko. So I think that kind of answers the question in that respect. And then obviously you're going to need to go and get someone else in, but you know it's tough to just be able to go and find another Zinchenko that can basically play in midfield and is that versatile and fits that style. So I wouldn't want to see Kieran go because I think that he has the capability of performing at a high level in his position. So I think Zinchenko is good enough defensively, but he shouldn't have to do that much if Arsenal are that good. It's the same conversation with Trent, right? It's like, is the problem with Trent when he was winning the Prem, the Champions League, and what else in the FA Cup? It wasn't, because it wasn't highlighted because they were that good. So if anything, that shows that there's other areas of the pitch that need improving. So yeah, I think Zinchenko is good enough.
Kieran, I'm willing to bet a lot of money that you had absolutely no input in those plants behind you being in your house.
They're not even real.
He said what plants?
They're not even real.
Shouldn't you have some memorabilia or something? Some of your winners' medals and all that stuff behind you instead of some fake
I'm
plants?
sending it over from the UK. It's in the process. I'm gonna spruce it up a little bit. Don't worry.
Yeah, it needs some sprucing, mate. A couple of cheap plants isn't going to do much, is it? For Stevie, playing matches after winning a league kind of feels like training. What motivates a player to play these consolation matches?
If you're trying to stick a claim for the following season,
Yep.
then yeah. But after that, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it must be weird, yeah?
It's very strange. It's very hard. Yeah. Yeah, for the guys that have played all season and who've won who've had experience of it, it's very difficult. It's completely different if you're in a City situation though, when you've got a cup final.
Right.
coming up.
Okay. That keeps that.
Because you're like, well, I want to keep my place here, but when it's done and dusted and you've still got like 3 and 4 games to go, yeah, it's a strange position.
Stevie, this is right up your alley. What's your favourite team activity from your playing days, whether going to the pub or driving around in your supercars together?
Do you know what? Pre-season was always good.
No, but weren't you in the darts team?
Aye.
And the pool team?
I thought out with the football.
Yes.
Oh. I'd probably say the pool league. Pool league was good.
You liked it?
Aye.
I played Stevie at pool. He got very angry, Shaka.
He's just super competitive.
He is super competitive. And then he got angry at himself for being so competitive.
He's competitive about being competitive.
What about you? You were driving around your fancy car, Shaq?
I didn't just drive around my fancy car, Dan. Just because I didn't play in anybody's pool team. Nobody invited me to play pool. Why do you think that's all I could do?
What did you do?
Drive around my fancy car.
Kieran, what was the fanciest car you had?
I've never been a car person. Yeah. I mean, I know loads of players that have had their car days, but speaking of cars, it reminds me of the first season that I went to West Brom, and Alan Pardrew took us on a mid-season break to Barcelona, and he gave us the reins to go out one night, and the boys ended up stealing a taxi in Barcelona and driving it around for about 3 hours.
That made headlines, didn't it, Kieran?
That did, yeah. As soon as I
who
saw
was
that
involved
question,
in that? It was was it Gareth Barry?
It was Gareth Barry.
Yeah.
It was Boaz Myhill.
So when you say steal, right?
Yeah.
So was it parked up with keys in it or something, and you just thought we'll go for a ride here, or?
No, they were actually in the taxi, and then they went to get some food on the way home, and they made the taxi man get out of the car so that they could basically steal it. They made him go and get the food. And
so then he drove away.
They didn't speak any Spanish.
Here's the trouble with that, right? As awful as it is, you could see footballers going, you know it'd be really fun here? Let's steal his taxi.
Wow. Well, I think you all need to have a word with yourselves.
I did.
What's an example?
I have had it. I've changed that.
Yeah. What's an example is that? Kieran, did you do anything else, other sports, during your time at Arsenal, like Stevie in the pub pool team?
Not really. Only a bit of golf. Paintballing was good when we used to go with the boys.
Yeah, Craig likes paintballing as well.
I've never been
Imagine
paintballing.
getting to shoot him.
Just shoot him.
I don't care who else is on the team. He's the only one who's getting it.
I've never been.
Even if he's on your own team, I think it would hurt, wouldn't it?
Does it?
Yeah,
You can still get it. He's on your team. You just go like that. Oh, sorry.
I need to see Shaka and Stevie paintballing against each other.
I'd love to go paintball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never paintballed.
I've never been.
No.
Stevie, I was under the impression a shepherd's pie had to be lamb mince and potato, but I've heard you mention beef mince and potato.
Absolutely.
Not sure I've ever seen a shepherd herd a bunch of cows. So isn't it supposed to be cottage pie with meat?
Somewhere down the historical line, it was something to do with lamb's meat, as you said.
Yes.
But then it kind of evolved.
Did you just evolve it though?
I think it's a Scottish thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what about cottage pie? What's the difference between cottage pie and shepherd's pie?
I don't know.
It's good TV, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I think cottage is the meat.
Cottage pie is the one.
It's the beef one, and then shepherd's pie is the lamb one.
No, not where I come from.
Okay, all right. We know. Oh no, we've done that one. And we know Stevie has shepherd's pie, but Shaka, Kieran and Dan, what's the one food that you could eat every day?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, there you go. Kieran, what are you eating every day?
Chick-fil-A.
Whoa.
Philly.
Oh, yes.
I got a bad guilty pleasure with Chick-fil-A. Bad one.
Spicy chicken deluxe.
No. I'm simple, Dan. I'm plain.
I love a spicy chicken deluxe.
It doesn't need it.
No, I need a little bit of kick, man. I'm spicy. You know, you look at me, just like a bit extra spicy.
Oh, good Lord. Talking to Dad earlier. He's getting ready to order his lunch. So like, put some jalapenos on it, give it a little kick. He's like, no. I can't go any more than pepper jack cheese.
Jalapenos on their burgers.
You gotta have jalapenos in your burger.
No, I don't think so. No, it's unnecessary.
To you.
Unnecessary.
To answer the question, roti. We've had this discussion before.
Oh, yeah, just remind us what it is.
So, roti is how we serve, or one of the ways we serve our curry in Trinidad. It's wrapped in, so the roti skin, as it's called, is almost like a thin bread. But we wrap our curry in this roti skin, this thin bread, and it is magic. I'll eat that all day, every day.
What is it, Stevie?
What?
The roti, what is it?
What is it?
Yeah.
Well, curry and bread.
No, it's not. You just make it sound all wrong.
You just said it's curry and bread.
It's curry and bread. That's not, no.
That's what he said, wasn't it?
No, it just felt wrong. Just felt wrong.
That's what we're heading. Chip shop chips I could have every day.
Aye.
Proper chip shop chip,
proper
fantastic.
Hold on. Italian chip shop or Chinese chip shop?
I don't know.
In Scotland, we grew up with Italian chip shops.
Okay.
And the chips were fantastic.
Okay.
The Chinese chips are completely different.
Right, okay. In Cornwall, we just had chip shop.
Yeah, but from what nationality? I mean,
England.
There was only one. There's only one.
The chip shop, isn't it?
There's only one chip shop in all of Cornwall. From Cornwall.
Doesn't count.
Cornwall chips.
It doesn't count.
What do you mean it doesn't count?
Well, it's not Italian chips or the Chinese chips. The English chips. Give us a break. Nobody's ever heard of that in their life.
What do you mean it's this thing that you think of in England? Fish and chips.
Well, you got the Indian, you got the Chinese.
How many fish and chip shops have you seen in Italy?
I've never been in my life in a chip shop and it's an English chip shop. Never.
So the Italians came over and introduced fish and chips to England?
Well, unfortunately for you, no, they didn't.
No, I have heard of
when I was in
Chinese chip
Scotland.
shops.
When I was in Scotland.
This is crazy.
All the chip shops when I was in Scotland were all
okay, all right.
Italian.
But I'm telling you, when I grew up, they were English chip shops.
Well, you missed it.
Well, you should have grown up in Scotland then.
Since we're heading into the summer break, were there any regulations or rules against certain summer activities the clubs you played for that forbid you doing anything? Did you ever get a non-football injury during summer? Like Manuel Neuer, of course, hurt himself skiing. What are you laughing at?
Don't learn to fly.
Oh, yeah, you weren't allowed to fly?
Yeah. I was going to do a pilot's license.
Yes.
So my wife bought me a flying lesson, which I did.
Did you fall on it or something?
Just sign this life insurance policy before you go,
so
Shaq.
I loved it, and I was like, I'm going to do this, you know. So as well, the PFA pay for you to do stuff to prepare for retirement. So I was like, listen, so it's the first step to being a commercial pilot.
Captain
so I just
Shaka.
said, listen, I want to be a commercial pilot. So they're like, all right, we'll pay for your lessons. So I signed up. Next thing, somebody's gone and said it on Soccer AM. Somebody called in on Soccer AM. It's like, oh, Shaka's going to do a pilot's license. And Glenn Roeder, who's the West Ham manager at the time, he called me. He's like, what's this I'm hearing? I'm like, no. My wife just bought me one lesson. So I had to call up the airfield and kick up a stink. I got my money back.
Wow.
So if you're a footballer, don't think about becoming a pilot.
Wow. Kieran?
Nah, it just weren't worth it. It just weren't worth it because then you put yourself at risk. So
right.
But I am gonna start to go back to skiing now because I did go when I was a kid and I loved it.
Oh, there you go. Lots of ski slopes in Miami, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you want to tell the John Barnes story?
On the race course?
Yeah.
Oh, when he just after the Grand National.
Yeah, so the Grand National's a massive race in England.
It's huge, and we always played.
Because it's in Liverpool.
If we were at home, obviously the Grand National was in Liverpool itself.
Yep.
So if we actually had being drawn at home that day, that Saturday, we'd play the game early. So we kick off at 11 o'clock in the morning. So, of course, we always went, all the boys and all the wives, we always piled into and a couple of buses, got into the tents and the whole thing, right by the finishing line. VIP day out. It was fantastic. It was great. Fantastic. So after it was finished, on the way back to the buses, we had to go across the course. And for some reason, Alan Hansen and John Barnes decided to have a race between two of the fences. And halfway between fence 3 and fence 4, Barnsley did his hamstring. and so if you get hurt on the Saturday, you have to go in on a Sunday.
Right.
Otherwise, you're in deep.
Okay.
With running around.
Right.
If you've got a little nick or anything at all, you got to go in. So Barnsley's like, well, I can't go in. What am I going to? I can't tell them I was running the Grand National. I pulled me out. So he didn't go in on a Sunday. He went in on the Monday.
Right.
Just stayed out the road, and then we did the warm up. Stayed kind of out the road a wee bit. And then when we started playing 5-a-sides, after about a minute, he went, oh, I can feel something. And as he's walking off, Ronnie Moran's walked up to him and went, I don't know what it is, but you know you've been up to something. He was like, not at all, Ronnie. Not at all.
You could have given him quite a few guesses, and I don't think he'd ever got running the Grand National race. OK, final question. I need to get a new soccer ball. What is the difference between the balls now compared to your playing time?
Oh, where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to start? Well, put it this way. You would never, ever imagine to see the fullback whipping the ball from one half of the field over to the other half of the field.
Just because they got stronger legs now.
You couldn't kick the thing that far. And the only time we ever played with a decent ball was actually at Anfield.
Right.
Because everywhere we went, they would use a crap ball so we couldn't knock it around.
Because obviously each club had their own ball. It wasn't like a Premier League ball.
Correct. So back in the 80s particularly, there was no set ball.
Right.
So, you know, you go to Wimbledon, for example, and they'd have a cabbage. So you couldn't kick it. I mean, just that blatant.
And what was it like when they got wet? They must have got. Did they get heavier?
Oh, seriously. Let me tell you. People don't believe me when I tell them this. We played in 1992 in the FA Cup final. We played with a mitre ball, right?
Yes.
And the field was so... I mean, you see them today. Every time you look at it, there's water in the field, right?
Yes, yeah.
In 92, the mitre ball, was picking up the water. You couldn't kick it. By the end of the game, you couldn't kick the ball.
Right.
It was that heavy. And that was 1992. It was a joke.
Yeah.
So today when I watch all these players hitting the ball 60 yards, pinging the ball 60 yards across from one full back to the other, I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. No chance.
Yeah, Kieran, you and your nice new balls.
Excuse me?
You just couldn't do it.
Have they changed much from when you were young, Kieran? Did you see quite a development in the balls?
They're lighter now. They're even lighter. They're even lighter. Yeah, and they fly. We used to love playing midweek more because we felt like the Champions League balls were just better because they travelled better if you strike the ball. But now the Prem balls are just as good. They're just as good.
Can I just add? See MLS. Some of the particularly when you go to altitude, the movement on the balls is horrendous.
Right.
Horrendous. A basic ball that's more than 10, 15 yards. Kieran will probably attest to this. So you go to Colorado and the ball, you're just playing it 20, 25 yards, but you've got to lift it.
Right.
These balls are flying all over the shop.
Yeah.
Honestly, the goalkeepers must have an absolute nightmare.
I played at the Azteca later on in my Trinidad and Tobago career.
Yes.
I could launch the ball length of the pitch. So, Trinidad and Tobago played in Mexico.
That's like a child.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. We played in Mexico. It's unlikely we're going to win.
Right, so you just spent the whole time...
I'm just every time I got the ball, I'm just like, push up, everybody, just push. And I would just launch the length of the pitch. It was so much fun. Yes. That's all I have to contribute.
Thank you very much, Shaka. As worthy as always. ESPN FC. We've done that show for a very long day.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
As testament to your mess.
Yes,
watching football.
Sorry?
All you've done is watch football.
I've got to drive the boat, the ship, all this.
Yeah. And I'm.
You must be exhausted.
And I'm just hanging off the back like an anchor.
You must be shattered, the two of you.
He's driving the ship. I'm weighing him down.
That was Anchor. We will be back tomorrow for more. Thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow.
Goodness me.
Till then, goodbye. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.